All right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between Biko and Deathnote, taking place here on Last Refuge version 1.5. Bottom left-hand side of the map, we have Biko spawning as that red undead. Um, Mini-map still looks a little off-color to me. Not quite sure why that is the case. Still processing and adjusting all the visual changes in the unchanged classic version of Warcraft 3. Colors still seem a little like colors on the buildings in particular seem a little bit muted to me, but um, how else to describe it, I'm not 100% sure. Also, if Blizzard, if you ever watch my replays or watch my casts and wonder, hey, like, what are my thoughts or takes on anything in particular? Well, one thing, the classic replay actually gives replay vision where you can watch as one of the observers and then therefore don't have to turn off Fog of War. You can see how far units can actually spot, and it just lets you focus more on what is happening in the game instead of, hey, look at these critters and looking at this. So, but that would be assuming that Blizzard actually watches my casts and, well, takes interest in the Warcraft 3 community through me. I'm not saying that they don't have an interest in the Warcraft 3 community. There are bigger casters out there who they have reached out to in the past. Yeah. That's all I'll say about that. I wish I got an invitation since I'm so close. Anyways, I guess that's not all I said. Happy Thanksgiving. We are now in the last. Voice audio is pretty quiet. All right. I don't know why that would be the case. I can turn it up a little bit. How's that? Is that better? I don't know. You guys can let me know. My children do use my computer from time to time, and when they use my computer, well, they adjust settings on my computer. So let me know if how game sounds sound, how my voice sounds, all of that jazz right there. Anyways, militia and footmen already making a move along here. Going to go after those forest troll trappers. Now, those forest troll trappers actually not doing any damage back. It is taking a little bit longer, but you can actually see the pathing on that forest troll trapper. He was actually a little bit confused, not quite sure how to go, or what to do, or where to go there, since he had to walk backwards in order to move forward, and in order to get around that concave circle. So that is a bit interesting. Those things that you notice in real-time strategy games, the pathing of units can make a very big difference. That footman has taken quite a bit of damage. So has the archmage. He's taking a death whale now. And we're looking at the skeletal minions still trying to make their way through. No forest troll shadow priest. Deathnote could be in trouble. Biko coming back around. There goes one water element or one skeletal minion, trying to get that archmage further higher up in terms of level. Give it more natural regeneration, or just more damage, all of that stuff right there. There is a downed footman as Biko, playing under the name Kukarata, able to get in some damage here. All right, Archmage trying to slip back on through, but the Acolyte getting in some beautiful pathing onto that Archmage as the Militia now trying to make their way over. This is a little bit greedy of Deathnote. Is it going to work out? That is the question. Waiting purposely until nightfall for that to actually happen as we see some damage now go down onto the Acolyte. A couple of skeletal minions double backing around. Archmage gets up to level 2. Doesn't get a bonus point of armor. We're going to look at that Acolyte take one more damage, and he point of damage, and he gets taken down. Death Knight wants to get the last shot off there, but he does not, but does get the Claws of Attack +5, a big item, as we should be looking at perhaps the peasants trying to build up a little bit more here. Archmage could have a little bit of trouble, down to 133 hit points already, as we are looking at a town hall, a scout tower, and perhaps an arcane vault needing to be built, and built quickly. 32 supply compared to 25, but we are still at tier 1. Alright, so Deathnote's still at tier 1 after all this time. I would have thought his tech to tier 2 would have begun already, but only here on the left side? Did they? There's no way. Like, I see that too. I don't know why. There's no way to change my pan on this. Alright, is that better? No. Hello. Alright, there we go. Oh, wow. My pan is actually different. Alright. Coming back through. Alright, I've changed my why do humans insist on grabbing an expo, and why don't players go all out to try to stop it with the ghoul rush or something? Because of travel distance, because there's a lot of different things that can go on. Wow, I'm panning hard right on my mixer now in order to get balanced. I'll have to play with my cables a little bit later. But thank you for pointing that out to me. Coming back through Death Knight, now going to go ahead and clear out the Rock Golem creep camp here and do a little bit more, finishing off of this, well, Rock Golem creep camp. So a lot of players do try and ghoul rush, or a lot of players do try and shut down this expo. It is the fact that at the very least, you need to try and punish the expo and make them lose a couple of peasants, a couple of units, make it so that the return on investment isn't nearly as fast. But as many players will tell you early on in the game, Archmage with those water elementals, especially once the Archmage gets to level 2 and has that Brilliance Aura support, it's much easier for the Archmage to drop water elementals and deal large amounts of damage. You can see that water elemental 33 to 41, that's the level 2 variety, going up against those ghouls. That's just not going to cut it. The Crypt Fiends are now going to be pushing across, as we see now as a Blight now being placed down here. That is a lot of ranged attack being able to focus down on that Archmage, as an Acolyte going to be brought on over to perhaps summon up a Ziggurat. So we are seeing a towering, a counter tower. There's a Ziggurat there, and this is quite interesting that the two Ziggurats here are, well, that close to the Arcane Tower that they're actually going to take damage. All right, a third Ziggurat now being placed down as well. Forest Troll, Shadow Priest gets an Abolish Magic, and we're just summoning up a bunch of Ziggurats here. The Footman correctly did go to get some defend to try and reflect back some of that damage. Meanwhile, we're looking at ghouls now being brought over as well. Militia now being called in. Archmage needs to come back over. 38 supply compared to 40. Cucaracha. And this is all because, well, all because biko purposely stayed at tier 1. By not taking the tier 2, he actually has a little bit of a larger army, and he's able to invest in all of these, well, these Crypt Fiends. So this was a calculated endeavor here, interestingly enough, as we're looking at the Ziggurat, who's in that frontline spot, and he is actually trying to upgrade to a Spirit or a Spirit Tower now. Another tower going to get taken down. Death Knight now gets up to level 4. Do we have an Acolyte off over here to try and repair? That is the question. There's an Acolyte. It is not repairing, though, as another Spirit Tower now getting trained up and upgraded. So this is exactly the case. Biko may actually be able to take down this location here. Death Knight, with Unholy Aura level 2, he was able to focus on a lot of these units, and now with 2 Spirit Towers, is he going to try to haunt this gold mine here? Archmage quickly buys a Potion of Healing, now trying to retreat back, as we have 1 Spirit Tower already up and operational. 1 tower up, a 2nd tower could come up here in just a moment. Death Knight does have another Rod of Necromancy charge. Archmage is coming back across here to try and finish off some of these Crypt Fiends. No burrow. Remember, this is all a tier 1 fight 8 minutes into this game, as this Crypt Fiend, well, while on Blight, actually has a decent regeneration compared to the damage of an Arcane Tower. So this is funny. The fact that the Blight regeneration coupled with the Unholy Aura regeneration on this Crypt Fiend, this is triple times natural regeneration, so it just can't be ignored here, as the Crypt Fiends are still battling it through. Militia now being brought back over, but as I said earlier, ranged high damage, even though it's slow attack, could cause some major problems. Mountain King, we are looking actually at Deathnote getting to tier 2 first, while we are still sitting at tier 1 by Biko. Biko is pretty much all in, trying to set up the expo here. We are getting up a Blacksmith to try to get a little bit of ranged attacks as well, as all of these units are getting slowly picked off one at a time. Coming back through, there's a Stormbolt onto a Crypt Fiend. Crypt Fiend is going to end up getting taken down. There's the Death Coil. That was a big 400 hit point heal right there. And now that Death Knight, well, going to get to level 5. At level 5, oh, there's a Stormbolt finishing off a low hit point Crypt Fiend again. The Footmen are still trying to push their way through. Death Knight could go after the Mountain King here. Footmen are just going to easily get cleaned up, as the Death Knight still needs a little bit more mana in order to continue to properly heal. Without those Obsidian statues, this is really what you're looking at, as the Mountain King Death Coil on onto the Archmage, death attacks onto the Mountain King, and both heroes fall back to back so quickly. Low hit point Crypt Fiends are now just continuing to move back away. Death Knight now sitting at 5.5, continuing to make their way back around. And the Death Knight, if it actually gets up to level 6, could use Animate Dead at the 10-minute or 11-minute mark of this game. Alright, this is all still very strange. 32 supply compared to 31 as the Crypt Fiends are backing away. Death Knight looking to get a little bit more damage, gets another kill there, but I believe the last hit was done by the Spirit Tower, meaning the Spirit Tower denied any experience. Alright, Crypt Fiend continuing to fight back. There goes another Footman. Archmage now gets up to level 4, using a potion of healing again to try and stay alive. We are still getting in some repairs. There is another tower there. Guard towers continuing to battle it through. Crypt Fiends defending back against those attacks, trying to reflect and move away. It looks as though that is going to get taken down again. Death Knight, however, not getting that last bit of experience once more. Really should be going after those water elementals. If you go after the water elemental takes full damage from the Crypt Fiends and gives experience still. Alright, we're going to see down Scout Tower. Yeah, it's down Scout Tower just as it was coming up. The Acolyte still repairing here as we're looking at the Arcane Vault about to fall. We are now finally teching the Tier 2, 2/3 of the way through. Deathnote is actually getting up to Tier 3 as this triple gold mine, or this triple, or now quad ziggurat location is he over-investing? At some point, he needs to actually set up a haunted gold mine here to be able to get some resources out of everything he's done. He's developed this outpost. Biko's really pushed really hard in developing this outpost, shut things down. But I do not believe Deathnote was just expecting this Tier 1 counter pressure against the Expo. That's often what happens. Players, it was asked earlier, how come they just, if they know that the Expo is going to come into play, why don't they just go all in against it? And that's often because if they go all in against it, you end up delaying your tech a little bit too much, and that's what's happening now. Deathnote did lose his Expo, but at the same time, Biko's tech is just so far behind that it's going to take quite a bit of time to get everything up and running. Death Knight now sitting at level 5 here, going to try and go after a couple of these units, perhaps take down a Crypt Fiend or two. Yep. Are we going to see one down to Crypt Fiend, more units still fighting their way through? Death Knight's now sitting. Are we going to get a Death Coil there? No, we are not. The Mountain King. Death Knight could have Death Coiled. Is it going to go for the save? Death Knight, Death Coil, walk away with that Crypt Fiend. Are we going to see it? No, perhaps instead going after the Archmage, just trying to get attacks there. Here, are we going to see the Death Coil? No, we do not, as the units are going to double back around. We see a Naga Sea Witch now out on the battlefield, and the Naga Sea Witch with cold arrows. Death Knight may actually get up to level 6 here, and if it gets up to level 6, 7 experience shy, needs to get another cold arrow attack off, and that might be enough. Cold arrow defending Footman walks ever so slowly, and because of that, it is going to give level 6. All right, Death Knight, is he going to... Nope, opts to go for level 3 Unholy Aura. Doesn't even bother with Animate Dead, since mana is so important on that Death Knight. All right, going to come back the other way. There's that Knight counter push that we were talking about just now. Remember, we saw we were going to castle. Death Knight cannot heal that Naga Sea Witch with the Death Coil, so that is the problem there. It looked like the Death Knight was trying to do exactly that for a moment, as we're looking at, well, the Forest Troll Berserker trying to retreat back. Knights do not have Sundering Blades, though, but then again, Sundering Blades would be a very, very big, heavy investment opportunity, since this is all off of one basis now. Death Coil does find a Knight. Naga Sea Witch still sitting at level 1, level 2 now on the Mountain King. Both sides fighting, as the Death Knight now looks to back up here. All right. Deathnote's Crypt Fiend gonna end up falling. Naga Sea Witch levels up. It gets a Stormbolt and ends up getting shut down still. And takes anti-magic shell. Anti-magic shell, or not? The magic mana armor that says basically my mana is also my hit points, and by doing so, shaved off, mana shield, able to shave off from death right there. That was a split-second gutsy decision in order to save that level 2 Naga Sea, which I was wondering why for a second, like, my brain's not computing. it isn't taking damage even though it's getting hit. And then I realized the mana was dropping relatively fast. All right, heroes, everyone's still fighting like crazy. Paladin could be in some serious trouble. Death Knight trying to get in some strong attacks here. The Paladin down to dead after 2 level 3 death coils, as now the Naga Sea Witch could have a little bit of trouble. Naga Sea Witch trying to back away. Remember, the Knights still do not have Sundering Blades, even though they do have Animal War training, as the Death Knight now trying to catch back up across over here. Naga Sea Witch does have the Claws of Attack +5, the Anti-Magic Shell, or the Mana Shield should be coming to an end, as the Naga Sea Witch cannot use that much mana, and we see that haunting of the gold mine now on the top left. All right, both sides continuing to fight here. We see Naga Sea Witch getting in some cold arrow attacks onto that Death Knight. We do not have Arcane Vault, so no Staff of Sanctuaries any longer, as the Crypt Fiends are now retreating back. Interesting point to note: the Blacksmith is off over here. So if the Blacksmith falls, well, that is gonna put a wrench into the works. There's a quick death coil there. Big overheal, but trying to save that Crypt Fiend for as long as it can, as the Crypt Fiend goes back onto Blight. Meanwhile, Death Knight with that Unholy Aura, big armor still, and good regeneration coming back around. And there's going to be a little bit more Blight to play with as the units fall back under the cover of these Spirit Towers. All right, big Spirit Tower wall here, the big red wall. Stopping any sort of aggression. We are now starting to tech to tier 3. We do have a slaughterhouse, and we are getting up a second crypt. No obsidian statues I take it back. 1 obsidian statue now on the way, and this is a perfect example of a classic of what a story should be, right? We saw undead matchup, undead versus human, and we kind of foresaw like Archmage, Paladin, Knights, right? All of this story, early Expo attempt, getting to tier 3, getting obsidian statues. But how we got here is really the major difference. Death Knight wants to land a big death coil onto that mortar team there. Just getting 1 or 2 shots. There's 1 shot. Needs to get 2 shots from the Naga Sea Witch. A second shot from the Naga Sea Witch should finish it. Oh, there's the Holy Light. Needed to get the arrow first before you got the over here. Death Knight now coming back around. He is completely surrounded. Both sides. Obsidian statue is coming back across here. Archmage is part of the surround. Cannot be part of the surround here, as the mortar team's trying to lob more attacks. The Knight does end up falling, and the mortar team's like, let me just wait. What am I doing by myself here? There's the death coil, air mailing, certain death for that mortar team. Beautiful play, but as I was saying earlier, it's not only about what happens in the story, it's the order in which it happens. And really, biko opting to choose not to go tech to tier 2 made a Deathnote. Deathnote just didn't realize the large army that was going to be inbound inside his base. Obsidian statues very far behind their Staff of Sanctuary to bring back a unit, as the Obsidian statues are still healing and providing support from behind. Mountain King could be in a lot of trouble. No, takes a 200 hit point heal as the units are falling back again. Now, biko is still continuing to build more towers. We're going to see the mortar team make its way over. There's a cold arrow, there's a death coil, there's another shot, and that's what it's going to take. 2 arrows and a death coil to finish off a unit. But then, you trade a Crypt Fiend for a mortar team since you're not able to fully heal. Obsidian statues are providing plenty of cover, but there's just not enough ground units. And although I've said this in times past, this biko cannot win with heroes and obsidian statues only. All right, Staff of Sanctuary for the save again. 2 knights being saved. Those are some very big heals overall, as the Naga Sea Witch looking to finish things off. Well, I guess you need that 3rd hero. You need that Lich with that Orb of Corruption in order to allow the heroes with obsidian statue strategy to really work. All right, Death Knight continuing to fall back here, trying to get under the cover of the towers. Acolytes still mining away. We're looking at 1,200 gold in the bank and 45 supply. Mortar teams are just trying to somehow crack this very hard shell of undead, as the Lich has now made its way over. All right, Mountain King with Bash. All right, so Mountain King with Bash able to stun down the Obsidian statue and prevent the Obsidian statue from retreating. Death Knight now going to get Stormbolted, and he is going to end up getting surrounded. There's a quick Death Coil. Are we going to see a potential break? Oh, Paladin down to 11 hit points, able to escape. Death Knight is in some serious trouble, gets the Death Coil, finishes off the Paladin, but a double level up for the Archmage and that Mountain King. Lich has an Orb of Corruption. Is the Lich going to be enough? There's some Frost Novas. Lich now trying to back away. Already had to use that Potion of Healing and is now trying to dance away. Lich could end up getting taken down too, as the Lich is in trouble. Down to 3 hit points. Still fighting away, trying to back up into the very far corner. Is it going to be enough? Fireball takes down the Lich. Ghouls are swarming. And now, is it going to surround the Archmage? It is going to surround the Archmage, but away from all of the towers. Mountain King perhaps wishes that he actually had Thunderclap right now to try and slow all of that damage, but the Lich, the Archmage falls at level 5 too. Units falling back around. Paladin comes back and asks, what did I miss? To see, well, a swarm of ghouls just making their way through. All right, more ghouls coming off the line now. That was the point of that second crypt, to train out and crank out units. 46 supply. Lich is getting resurrected. Death Knight not getting resurrected yet, as the ghouls are trying to retreat back and get under the cover here. Mortar teams have a lot of work to do to try to take down these towers and break this shell. Militia now making their way over, as well as we see upgrades. Undead having 1-1 upgrades on both the Crypt Fiends and also these ghouls, as well as the Naga Sea Witch gets hired up from the tavern to try and fight back here. Are we going to see some cold arrows onto that mortar team? We're trying to get a little bit of separation, as Militia now coming back around the other side too. This is not a good spot for that Naga Sea Witch at all, trying to slither away, and is it going to be able to do exactly that? Falling behind. Lich coming as well, Mountain King coming, and this is just getting sloppy now just because of the pure chaos of everything that is happening. Acolytes, well, repairing the Necropolis haunted gold mine, still getting a little bit of gold out, as the main gold mines have finished mining. Remember that there is no more mining in the bases, so it is 1 base versus 0 right now. Does biko have enough in the tank to try and finish the job, as the Death Knight is now back out onto the battlefield? There's a Stormbolt onto the Naga Sea Witch. Naga Sea Witch ends up surviving a little bit. Death Coil onto the Mountain King. Mountain King still had enough to survive again, as the Obsidian statues are coming back around here to try and offer a bit of heals. The Obsidian statues had plenty of opportunity to heal right there. Not quite sure why they didn't. Every time they stop, they should temporarily heal, give a big burst to all of these units, and then try to come back around. But all of this is happening while biko is getting a little bit more gold out of that gold mine, which is absolutely key. Death Knight saying, you know what, I need to level up my Naga Sea Witch and my Lich as well. Let me go after this creep camp here while the mortar teams are trying to clear out this gold mine now. Death Knight is taking some of that precious experience, though, needs to back away. Lich is now sitting at level 1, could have gotten to level 2. There's a Scroll of Town Portal inbound to defend. The mortar team, are they going to end up, well, that's just going to be a dead mortar team, a couple of dead peasants leveled up the Lich, and now ready to go once more. Deathnote perhaps was just not expecting this type of play, and yeah, biko opening my eyes. I don't know, maybe it was playing a little bit of battle aces, saying, hey, if you do tech very early, and the other person, or if you tech expand or build an army, and well, no one really thought, hey, I'm just going to build a large army at tier 1 to try and stop the expansion, at least not in the classic undead versus human matchup sense. All right, as things go for biko, things are just continuing to get better and better for him. He's clearing out difficult creep camps, has destroyers, bringing up acolytes. There's a flying machine out now. But the Ogre Magi, the Lich, the Naga Sea Witch, the Death Knight could purposely just back away. Doesn't need to be part of the fight at all. Could buy a Scroll of Town Portal if he wants to in order to get back to easily defending. Could also get this gold mine here. Meanwhile, it looks like Deathnote's strategy is going to be the same. Try to get this last refuge expo in the center portion of the map on the high ground. sending units back home to heal up as flying machines are still getting trained. A very strange fight overall. The close Goblin laboratory getting cleared out for the undead side at the 24-minute mark of this game. This is extremely late in terms of timing, as we're looking at the flying machines and the destroyers battling it up again. More acolytes getting trained here. Maybe the 10th acolyte. Really didn't need that 10th acolyte. Just move one acolyte over, since you're going to be at... Well, that particular gold mine will be shut down soon. Naga Sea Witch with Mana Shield. Always interesting. Or level 2 Mana Shield. So yeah, will be very difficult to take out. Perhaps you also give an Orb of Corruption to the Naga Sea Witch as well. Allow her to be a ranged Orb of Corruption user as well, but that also has just a large amount of effective hit points because of that Mana Shield. Death Knight checking to make sure that there's no Expo on the north side there. Now continuing to push through. All right. Whoa, now my pan's a little bit too much to the right. How's that? Is that better? That is better. Okay. It feels like my audio is just constantly changing. Don't know why that is the case. All right. It feels like after all of the chaos, the story and the wind down on the victor, we can already see what's happening. Biko has just taken such a commanding lead and is saying, I don't need to force a fight. If you want to win, you need to bring the fight to me. And you need to fight on my grounds, and I'm going to win because I'm going to have a blight. I'm going to be regenerating better. I know you are not mining, and well, that's what's happening. 70 over 80 supply compared to 45 over 52. Destroyers going straight after those flying machines. Flying machines taking quite a bit of damage. No obsidian statue amongst all of the units, though. Okay, so no, the new obsidian statue coming in, that's going to be a bit late. Peasants could easily get finished off here. We're going to see a couple of these peasants just get absolutely torn apart as they try to do that long walk home. 41 supply compared to 74. 64 supply army compared to 37 as the units are going to be about to engage. There's some Devour Magic. Flying machines going to go straight after those, or Destroyer's going to go straight after those flying machines. Try to make sure that they can stick around long enough. Meanwhile, a lot of knights in play down here. We're looking at, Deathnote just leaving the game. Kukuracha was, or Biko was victorious. Just a big battle there. And, well, the exciting parts of that game really during the middle stage, just trying to set everything up. Let's take a look at the final scores. Death Knight, Undead completely outclassing Deathnote. Biko outclassing Deathnote with some interesting strategies. Not expanding early, not teching early, building a large enough army, and towering it up enough so that it could eventually be a defensive outpost. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.